Hey guys, Tammy here, and in this video, we're going to talk about child custody recommendation reports. I'm going to try to give you a little bit of a guide, a few tips here, kind of some big general overall principles. Now, I talk about child custody evaluations quite a bit, but I'm usually talking about it from the perspective of when to get one, do you need one? When do we typically see them used? What are the pros and cons of that versus like an attorney for the children or something like that? So there's a lot of content on the channel around that particular aspect of it. And so if that's kind of what you're looking for, go back and look through some of the other previous videos for that. But in this video, I really want to talk about the perspective of once you have a report. Okay. So then what happens? What do you do? How do you deal with that report? So before we dive into this, let me just remind you, if you like my content, if you find it helpful, please hit like on the video. Also subscribe to the channel so that you are notified as new videos are released. As I've been saying lately, 70% of you watching this are not subscribed. I need subscribers. That helps me. You need content. That helps you. So let's do it. Subscribe to the channel, okay? When you get the report from the child custody recommendation counselor, you either are usually really happy or really not. I find that there's not usually a lot of middle ground. Usually somebody's either pleased with the report or they're not so pleased with the report. Now, if you have not gone down this path yet, or this path is just starting for you, let me just say, please, 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 please get some coaching before you go in for this evaluation. Okay. So I do coaching around this particular topic. There's a lot of people that, usually you can find somebody, your attorney would sometimes recommend people, whatever, give me a call, whatever you need to do, but please get coaching beforehand. Coaching for custody evaluations is not something that attorneys usually do. Most of my clients say that their attorney just tells them, oh, you'll be fine. Just tell them the truth, or you'll be fine. Just tell them what's going on in your case. Everything will work out. No, that's not always true. A lot of times we are sabotaging ourselves through the way that we frame things, through the way that we present our concerns. There's a certain way that will be effective and certain ways that are not. Okay. And again, that's not really what I want to dive deep into in this video. I just want to leave you with the impression of, if you have not gotten one of these and you are facing it, or you're thinking about getting one or whatever, please get coaching in advance of it, because once you get a bad one, it is hard to go against that. And I'm going to talk about that because I know that's probably what some of you are dealing with. But first, let's talk about how much does this report really weigh for the judge? How heavily does the court rely on it? How impactful is this report from this person? Now, I will tell you that for the vast majority of situations, the courts rely very heavily on this report. Okay. Courts see the child custody recommendation from the counselor as the child expert in the case. Okay. The evaluator is usually somebody who either has a licensed clinical social work degree, they're a therapist, some sort of therapy background. Occasionally I've seen them have history of employment as a teacher, something to do with child development, those types of things. But for the most part, they're some sort of licensed mental health professional. And so the court views this person as their child custody expert. And so the court kind of goes, well, I'm not the expert in this situation, so I'm going to rely really heavily on the report. Now, if we think of this in the context of, let's maybe say finances, because I think that's something that's maybe a little bit more concrete to wrap our head around. When the court has a very complex financial situation, like somebody owns a business, let's say, and the court's kind of like, I don't know how much this business is worth. I don't know how much income this business produces. I don't know what all these different financials mean. We're going to hire an expert to then give me the breakdown of what all this information means And then I have digestible information, and then I can take that information and decide what the best outcome is for the financial situation, right? Based on the law. This is the same type of thing. Now, I know child custody is a little bit less concrete of a subject to be dealing with, but it's the same type of thing where the court goes, you know what? I don't really know the details of what's going on in this case. I don't know how the children are feeling or reacting to things. I don't know what each of these parents has going on in depth. We're going to get this evaluation. The evaluator is going to dig deep on all these things, write me a report on their findings. And once I have that report and the recommendation from them, then I can decide based on the law and the other things that I'm looking at, am I going to follow this report exactly, or are we going to make a few tweaks to it or whatever? And I will say that as a general rule, maybe you can get a couple tweaks to it. You generally, if the person comes in and says, oh, I recommend 50-50 custody, let's say, probably you're not going to be able to fight that and get sole custody, right? Because the recommendation has been 50-50. Now, could you get a little tweak to where you maybe get one more overnight and the other parent gets one less or something like that because of a schedule or how far somebody lives from the school or whatever's going on? Yes, that's possible, but you're not usually able to just completely go against a report and get a totally different outcome. When you get that report, you have to look through it and look at usually they'll state what their concerns are, what they're worried about. And, what inevitably happens is usually the report will have something about like, here's what parent A says. And then it'll have something about like, here's what parent B says. Sometimes it'll say, here's what the children say. Sometimes the evaluator will hold that back more because they want to kind of protect the children's privacy a little more. And that's where people really get tweaked is they go, well, they wrote down everything my ex said. Well, yeah. And they wrote down everything you say too, for the most part. So that's not saying they agree or disagree with it. It's just saying this is what they said. This is what parent A or parent B said. Then they usually go into their perspective on it and why they're making the recommendations that they make. Okay. And then it goes into what they're recommending. So really, instead of trying to fight that from the perspective of they recommended 50-50 custody and I think I should have one more overnight, you want to go back to, was there anything in their reasoning for the recommendations that you can pull apart the foundational reason of why that recommendation is being made, if that makes sense. So kind of going to the root cause of it rather than just trying to change the issue itself because you want to change it. I will tell you that I have seen cases where these do get overturned. It's not common at all. I would say in the 15 years or so that I've been doing this, I've seen maybe less than 5 probably that got an evaluator's report tossed out. And usually when you get an evaluator's report tossed out, it's because that evaluator made some really egregious errors in the report, right? It's usually like they mix up the children. One child has ADD and they have that listed as the other child. Things that are really like you read the report and you think this isn't even close to what was done. And so if you have a report like that, that's kind of procedurally messed up, then sometimes you can get the court to order a second evaluation and disregard the first one. Okay. But as a general rule, just you not liking the recommendation or not feeling like the recommendation was fair or things of that nature are usually not going to get you a different result. If you like the report, then the good news is, well, the court usually closely follows it. So you're in good hands if you like the report. If you don't like the report, then what I tell people is you have to play the long game. Okay. You've got to go, okay, what are the concerns? What are the issues? Why is the court or the evaluator making this recommendation? And then what can I do from my end to shift whatever those issues were? Maybe they were concerned about your work schedule, let's say. Maybe they said, this parent can't get the child to school on such and such days a week. And so that's my concern. Maybe they said one parent lives 25 miles away, and that's just too far for the child to be being carted to school every single day, that distance. If it's something like that, that's not usually something that you can just fix overnight to where you can just go back into court and say, okay, I've changed all that. But even if you get the evaluator's recommendation as the order, even if the court says, okay, this is what we're going to make the order, then again, what I say is, let's play the long game. Let's figure out, okay, can I change jobs? Can I move? What are the things that I can do to kind of close that gap over the long haul? And then once you do that, then you've got to change the circumstances and you can go back in and apply for more time, and in the meantime, you follow all your orders, you stay in compliance, you do everything that you need to do. Okay. But again, like I said, it's much, much easier to do it right the first time than it is to try to undo a bad outcome. So if you have not gone through this process yet, but you are going to, or it's currently ordered and you're going to be facing it, please, please, please get coaching in advance of those meetings. Okay. Because there's multiple meetings that go into a child custody evaluation. If you would like to get help with this or any other issue in your child custody case, you can go to divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. There is information on that page about my coaching programs and about how you can potentially enroll in one of those programs or talk to a member of my staff to learn more details about some of the programs if you need to do that. So go check that out. You can, there's information on that page that you can access. I'm not sure right now if it's a video or what's up, but there's something up there that will give you information about how to access the programs. Okay. divorceuniversityonline.com/VIP-coaching. All right. Thanks so much. I'll see you guys next time.
We'll grow in number, fueled by them to see the